The Wanderer's Dream moved slowly through the dark space between stars. Captain Elena Vasquez sat in her command chair, watching the main screen show nothing but empty blackness dotted with distant lights. Her ship was small compared to the massive vessels that traveled the main trade routes. It carried only 7 crew members and enough supplies for a 6-month mission. "Another boring day in paradise," muttered Marcus Chen from his engineering station. The stocky man wiped sweat from his forehead as he monitored the ship's systems. Everything was running smoothly, just like it had for the past 3 weeks. "Boring is good out here," Elena replied. She was a veteran of Earth's deep space program, with short gray hair and sharp eyes that missed nothing. "Boring means we're alive." Their mission was simple: map the unknown star systems in this sector and look for anything interesting. So far they had found 3 dead planets, 2 gas giants, and more empty space than anyone wanted to count. The Galactic Council had given humanity permission to explore this region, mainly because no other species wanted it. Navigator Yuki Tanaka looked up from her console. "Captain, I'm picking up some strange readings on the edge of our sensor range." Elena's attention sharpened. "What kind of readings?" "Multiple contacts. Large ones. They just appeared out of nowhere." The bridge fell silent except for the soft hum of the ship's systems. Elena stood up and walked over to Yuki's station. The young woman's fingers danced across her controls, trying to get a clearer picture. "How many contacts?" Elena asked. 12. No, wait, 13. They're big, Captain. Much bigger than us." Communications Officer Lisa Park spoke up from her station. "I'm getting something on the emergency frequencies. It's not in any human language." Elena felt a cold chill run down her spine. Humanity was still new to the galaxy. They had made contact with several alien species, but most encounters happened near established trade stations or diplomatic centers. Out here in the empty regions, meeting strangers was rarely a good thing. "Put it on speakers," Elena ordered. A harsh clicking sound filled the bridge. The alien language sounded aggressive, with sharp consonants and rising tones that made it seem like the speaker was always angry. "Can you translate any of it?" Elena asked. Lisa shook her head. "The computer is trying to match it against known languages, but it's not finding anything." Chief Medical Officer Dr. Sarah Kim looked up from her medical base station. "Whatever they're saying, they don't sound friendly," Marcus called out from engineering. "Captain, those ships are moving toward us fast." Elena returned to her command chair. "How fast?" "They'll reach us in about 20 minutes at their current speed." Elena's mind raced through their options. The Wanderer's Dream was not a warship. It had basic defensive systems, but nothing that could stand up to 13 large alien vessels. Their best bet was to try talking their way out of trouble. "Lisa, open a channel. Use the standard first contact protocols." Lisa's hands moved quickly over her controls. "Channel open, Captain." Elena cleared her throat and spoke in her calmest voice. "Unknown vessels, this is Captain Elena Vasquez of the Earthship Wanderer's Dream. We are on a peaceful exploration mission in this sector. Please identify yourselves and state your intentions." The response came quickly. The same harsh clicking sounds, but louder and more aggressive. "Still no translation," Lisa reported. "Captain," Yuki called out. "The alien ships are changing formation. They're spreading out to surround us." Elena's stomach tightened. This was not looking good. "How long until they reach us?" 15 minutes. Elena made a decision. "Marcus, start warming up the engines. Plot a course back to the nearest human outpost." "Already on it, Captain." But before they could move, the alien ships suddenly accelerated. In just a few minutes, 12 sleek vessels appeared on the main screen. They were beautiful in a deadly way, with curved hulls that looked more grown than built. Each ship was easily 3 times the size of the Wanderer's Dream. "Captain," Lisa said, her voice tight with worry. "I'm getting a transmission. The computer has found a partial translation. Put it through." A new voice came through the speakers. It was still alien, but now they could understand some of the words. The translation software filled in the gaps, creating subtitles on the main screen. "Small vessel, surrender. Immediate. Comply or face destruction." Elena looked around at her crew. She saw fear in their eyes, but also determination. These were good people who had signed up for a dangerous mission. They trusted her to get them home alive. "Open a channel," Elena said. "Channel open." Elena stood up and faced the main screen. "This is Captain Vasquez. We are a peaceful exploration vessel from Earth. We have done nothing wrong. What do you want?" The response was quick and clear. "You are now property of the Keth Mori hunting fleet. Surrender your vessel immediately. Resistance will result in damage to valuable cargo. Dr. Kim spoke up from her station. Did they just call us cargo? Elena felt anger rising in her chest. She had heard stories about alien slavers who captured members of newly discovered species. The Galactic Council officially banned such activities, but enforcement was weak in the outer regions. Marcus called out from engineering. Captain, I'm reading energy buildups on all the alien ships. Looks like weapon systems charging. Elena took a deep breath. She thought about her crew, her ship, and her duty to Earth. She thought about the families waiting for them to return home. She thought about the reports she had read about species that had disappeared after encountering slavers in deep space. Lisa, open a channel to the lead ship. Channel open. Elena's voice was calm and steady when she spoke. This is Captain Vasquez of the Earth vessel Wanderer's Dream. We have received your demands. The bridge was silent as everyone waited for her next words. Elena looked at each of her crew members, seeing their trust in her decision. She turned back to the main screen and gave her answer. Negative. We decline. The silence that followed seemed to stretch forever. Then the alien voice came back, sounding confused and angry. You decline? You are one small ship. We are many. You cannot resist. Elena sat back down in her command chair. We'll see about that. She looked at her crew and saw their expressions change from fear to determination. Marcus cracked his knuckles over his engineering controls. Yuki's fingers were already plotting evasive courses. Lisa was scanning all frequencies for any useful information. Dr. Kim was preparing medical supplies for whatever was about to happen. All stations, prepare for combat, Elena ordered. Let's show these aliens what humans do when someone tries to put us in chains. The alien ships began to close in, their weapons glowing with deadly energy. But the crew of the Wanderer's Dream was ready. They might be outnumbered and outgunned, but they were human, and humans never gave up without a fight. Elena gripped her command chair and whispered, "Come on then, let's dance." The battle for freedom was about to begin. War Prime Zexthal sat in his command throne aboard the hunting ship Death's Grace. His 6 eyes studied the small human vessel on his display screen. The creature looked pathetic compared to his mighty fleet. 12 of the finest Kethmori hunter-killers surrounded one tiny exploration ship. This will be over quickly, he thought. The Kethmori had hunted hundreds of species across the galaxy. They were experts at capturing valuable specimens for the arena worlds. New species always fought at first, but they learned to submit once they understood their situation. War Prime, his weapons officer called out. All ships report ready to fire. Zexthal's mandibles clicked with satisfaction. Begin the hunting pattern. Disable their engines first. I want them alive for the games. The first wave of Kethmori attack hit the Wanderer's Dream, with suppression bolts designed to shut down ship systems. These weapons were perfect for capturing prey without destroying valuable cargo, but something went wrong. The human ship didn't stop. Instead, it suddenly accelerated at an angle that made no sense. The small vessel spun around a piece of space debris and used it as a shield against the next wave of attacks. What are they doing? Zexthal demanded. His navigation officer studied the readings. War Prime, they are using microgravity assist to change direction, but the forces involved should tear their ship apart. Inside the Wanderer's Dream, the crew worked with desperate efficiency. Captain Elena gripped her command chair as the ship twisted through impossible maneuvers. Marcus, how are our engines holding up? Marcus Chen's fingers flew over his engineering controls. I'm pushing everything past the red line, Captain. The inertial dampeners are screaming, but they're holding. Elena smiled grimly. Earth ships were built tough. They had to be. Humans came from a solar system filled with asteroids, comets, and gravitational anomalies. Their ships were designed to survive conditions that would destroy vessels built by more civilized species. Yuki, plot us a course through that asteroid field. Navigator Yuki Tanaka's eyes widened. Captain, that field is marked as extremely dangerous. The gravitational interactions are unpredictable. Perfect. The bigger the risk, the less likely they'll follow us. The Wanderer's Dream dove into the asteroid field like a fish swimming through coral. Elena watched the main screen as massive rocks tumbled past them. Behind them, the Kethmori ships hesitated. War Prime Zexthal stared at his display in disbelief. They went into the chaos field? That's suicide. Should we follow them, War Prime? Asked his pilot. Zexthal's eyes narrowed. No species was crazy enough to fly through that kind of gravitational maze. The tidal forces alone would crush most ships, but somehow the humans were not only surviving, they were using the asteroids to hide from his weapons. All ships enter the field. Maintain hunting formation. The Kethmori vessels followed, but their movements were careful and slow. They had to avoid the tumbling rocks and unstable gravity pockets. The human ship, meanwhile, danced through the hazards like it belonged there. Elena watched her crew work. Marcus was rerouting power through backup systems, giving them more speed than the ship was designed for. Yuki calculated courses that would make a mathematics professor cry. Lisa monitored alien communications while Dr. Kim prepared for casualties that, thankfully, hadn't come yet. "Captain," Marcus called out, "I'm detecting weaknesses in their ship designs. These aliens build for efficiency, not durability. Their hulls are strong, but they have vulnerable points." "Show me." Marcus put his analysis on the main screen. The Kethmori ships were indeed beautiful, but they had weaknesses. Their power systems were centralized, making them vulnerable to focused attacks. Their formation flying relied on constant communication, which could be disrupted. Elena studied the tactical display. "Lisa, can you jam their communications?" Lisa Park's hands moved quickly over her controls. "I can try, Captain. Their communication system uses frequencies we can interfere with." "Do it." Suddenly, the Kethmori fleet lost coordination. Ships that had been moving in perfect formation began to drift apart as their pilots lost contact with each other. War Prime Zexthul watched in horror as his carefully planned hunt turned into chaos. "Restore communications immediately." "We're trying, War Prime, but they are using some kind of interference pattern we've never seen before." On the Wanderer's Dream, Elena saw her chance. "Marcus, prepare to fire everything we have at their lead ship. One concentrated burst." "But Captain, our weapons are designed for asteroid mining and debris clearing. They're not military grade." Elena's smile was cold. "Sometimes you don't need military grade. Sometimes you just need to hit the right spot." The human ship emerged from behind a large asteroid and fired every weapon it had. Kinetic railguns designed for breaking up space rocks slammed into the lead Kethmori vessel. The aliens' energy shields were designed to stop energy weapons, not solid projectiles moving at incredible speed. The railgun slugs punched through the shields and hit the ship's central power core. The beautiful alien vessel shuddered as explosions rippled along its hull. War Prime Zexthul felt his ship shake around him. Lights flickered as power systems failed. His weapons officer reported massive damage to their primary systems. "How is this possible?" he demanded. "Their weapons are primitive." His science officer studied the attack data. "War Prime, they are using kinetic weapons. Pure physical force. Our shields are designed to deflect energy attacks, not solid projectiles." Zexthul felt something he had rarely experienced in his long hunting career: uncertainty. This small human ship was fighting in ways his species had never encountered. They used their environment as a weapon, turned their own weaknesses into strengths, and adapted to every situation with frightening speed. The human ship disappeared behind another asteroid, and Zexthul realized something that chilled his blood. They weren't running away anymore. They were hunting. Captain Elena looked at her crew. They were all focused on their tasks, working together with the kind of coordination that comes from months of training and years of friendship. These weren't soldiers, but they were human. And humans had been fighting impossible odds since they first looked up at the stars. "All right, everyone," Elena said calmly. "They wanted to hunt us. Let's show them what happens when they pick the wrong prey." The Wanderer's Dream vanished into the asteroid field, leaving the confused and damaged Kethmori fleet to wonder what they had gotten themselves into. For the first time in their hunting careers, the predators were beginning to feel like prey. War Prime Zexthul stared at his damage reports and realized he had made a terrible mistake. These humans were not like other species. They didn't fight with overwhelming force or advanced technology. They fought with cunning, creativity, and a refusal to accept defeat, and they were just getting started. The battle had been going on for 2 hours. War Prime Zexthul watched his tactical display with growing alarm. 3 of his ships were badly damaged, and the small human vessel was still fighting. "War Prime," his communications officer reported, "we're intercepting more human transmissions. The translation software is getting better at understanding their language. Put it on speakers." The bridge filled with human voices speaking in rapid, clipped sentences. Zexthul listened as his computer translated the alien words. Marcus, reroute power from life support to the forward shields. Copy that. Yuki, we need another impossible turn in 30 seconds. Working on it. Lisa, keep jamming their targeting systems. Already on it. Sarah, how are our people holding up? Everyone's fine so far. These G-forces should have knocked us unconscious by now, but we're still here. Zexthol's science officer looked puzzled. War Prime, according to our readings, the humans should not be able to survive the maneuvers they're performing. The acceleration forces alone should have killed them. Yet they continue to fight, Zexthol muttered. He had hunted for over 50 years, capturing specimens from hundreds of worlds, but he had never encountered anything like these humans. Inside the Wanderer's dream, Captain Elena was discovering something about her ship that the designers had never intended. The vessel was tougher than anyone realized. All those safety systems built to handle Earth's chaotic solar system were proving useful in combat. Captain, Marcus called out, I've been thinking about our situation. We're not going to win by playing defense forever. Elena nodded. What do you have in mind? Marcus brought up a schematic of the alien ships. I've been studying their attack patterns. They're hunters, but they hunt like pack animals. They rely on surrounding their prey and overwhelming them with numbers. That's exactly what they're doing to us. Right. But pack hunters have a weakness. They expect their prey to run or hide. They don't know how to handle prey that fights back intelligently. Dr. Sarah Kim spoke up from her medical station. Marcus is right. I've been monitoring the alien communications. They're getting frustrated and confused. Their stress levels are rising. Elena looked at the tactical display. The Kethmori ships were indeed behaving like pack hunters. They moved in coordinated groups, trying to drive the human ship into killing zones. But every time they thought they had the Wanderer's dream trapped, the small vessel found a way to escape. Lisa, what else have you learned from their communications? Lisa Park's expression was grim. It's not good, Captain. They're not just pirates or raiders. They're slavers. They capture members of newly discovered species and sell them to something called arena worlds for entertainment. The bridge fell silent. Elena felt cold anger building in her chest. These aliens didn't just want to rob them or destroy them. They wanted to capture her crew and sell them as gladiators for the amusement of other species. How many species have they done this to? Elena asked quietly. Based on their conversations, dozens, maybe hundreds. They consider it a legitimate business. Elena looked around at her crew. These were good people who had volunteered for a dangerous mission to expand human knowledge. They had families waiting for them back on Earth. They deserved better than to end up as entertainment for alien spectators. Marcus, you said this ship was tougher than we realized. How tough? Marcus checked his readings. Captain, I've been monitoring our systems throughout this fight. We're holding up better than any ship this size should. The engineers who designed this thing built it to survive anything space could throw at it. What about our weapons? That's where things get interesting. We're not armed for combat, but we do have some tools that the aliens aren't expecting. Marcus brought up a new display showing the ship's systems. Our mining lasers can cut through almost anything. Our railguns can punch holes in asteroids. Our debris-clearing charges can move massive objects. Elena studied the display. You're saying we've been thinking about this wrong. We're not an unarmed exploration ship. We're a mobile construction platform with improvised weapons. Exactly. And there's something else. I've been analyzing the alien ship designs. They're built for efficiency and speed, but they have a major weakness. Which is? Marcus highlighted sections of the alien ships on the tactical display. They're designed for hunting prey that runs away. Their weapons are all forward-facing. Their shields are strongest in front, but they have minimal protection on their sides and rear. Elena began to understand. So if we could get behind them, we could do serious damage with weapons they don't expect us to have. Navigator Yuki looked up from her console. Captain, I have an idea for how we could do that. It's dangerous, but it might work. I'm listening. Yuki put her plan on the main screen. There's a gas giant at the edge of this system. It has a strong magnetic field and several moons. If we could lead the alien ships into that area, we could use the environment against them. Elena studied the proposal. It was risky, but everything they had done so far had been risky. What makes you think it will work? The aliens hunt in open space. They're not used to operating near large gravity sources or in strong magnetic fields. But we are. Earth ships are designed to handle difficult conditions. Dr. Kim added her opinion. The aliens are already stressed and frustrated. If we lead them into an environment they're not comfortable with, they'll make mistakes. Elena made her decision. All right, we're going to stop running. Marcus, I want you to modify our weapons for maximum damage. Yuki, plot a course for that gas giant. Lisa, keep monitoring their communications. Sarah, prepare for the possibility of casualties. What's the plan, Captain? Marcus asked. Elena's smile was cold and determined. We're going to teach these slavers what happens when they try to cage a human. The Wanderer's dream suddenly changed course, heading directly toward the gas giant at the edge of the system. Behind them, the Kethmori ships followed, thinking their prey was finally making a desperate run for safety. War Prime Zexthul watched the human ship's course change with satisfaction. Finally, they are running. All ships pursue. Do not let them escape. But his science officer looked worried. War Prime, they are heading toward the gas giant. That area has strong magnetic fields and gravitational anomalies. It's dangerous for our ships. Zexthul dismissed the concern. They are desperate. They will make mistakes and we will capture them. As the chase continued toward the gas giant, neither the Kethmori nor the humans realized that this battle was about to change everything. The hunter-killers thought they were pursuing frightened prey. The crew of the Wanderer's dream knew they were leading their enemies into a trap. But what neither side understood yet was that this encounter would be remembered across the galaxy as the moment when humanity announced its presence as a force to be reckoned with. The age of underestimating humans was about to come to a very abrupt end. The Wanderer's dream reached the outer edge of the gas giant's influence and suddenly stopped running. Captain Elena looked at her crew and saw determination in every face. They had been prey long enough. Now it was time to become predators. Marcus, status report on our modifications. Marcus Chen wiped sweat from his forehead. All systems are ready, Captain. I've overcharged the mining lasers and loaded the railguns with our heaviest slugs. The debris-clearing charges are armed and ready. Yuki, how's our positioning? Navigator Yuki Tanaka studied her displays. We're right where we want to be. The gas giant's magnetic field will interfere with their sensors, and the gravitational anomalies will affect their maneuvering. Elena nodded. Lisa, what are the aliens saying? Communications Officer Lisa Park listened to the intercepted transmissions. They think we're trapped, Captain. They're moving in for the capture. Dr. Sarah Kim looked up from her medical station. I've been monitoring their stress levels through their voice patterns. They're confident, but starting to show signs of frustration. They've never had prey fight back this long. Elena activated the ship's internal communication system. All hands, this is the captain. We're about to implement Protocol WASP. For those who don't remember their military history, a wasp is small compared to a human, but it can still bring down someone much larger if it knows where to sting. She paused, looking around at her bridge crew. These aliens think we're helpless because we're outnumbered. They're about to learn that humans don't give up, and we don't go down easy. All stations prepare for combat. War Prime Zexthul positioned his fleet in a perfect hunting formation around the gas giant. The small human ship hung motionless near one of the planet's moons, apparently out of options. Finally, he thought, now they will surrender. He opened a communication channel to the human vessel. Small ship, you have fought well for primitives. But your resistance is over. Surrender now and your deaths will be quick. The response came immediately and it surprised him. War Prime Zexthul. Captain Elena's voice was calm and steady. I know your name now. I know your ship's designation. I know about your hunting fleet and your slaving operations. More importantly, I know about the families you've destroyed and the species you've driven to extinction. Zexthul felt a chill run down his spine. How did they know his name? Elena continued. You made a mistake when you targeted us. You see, we're not your typical prey. We're human, and humans have a saying, if you come for the king, you better not miss. You speak boldly for someone about to be captured, Zexthul replied. Captured? Elena's laugh was cold. War Prime, you still don't understand. We're not trapped here with you. You're trapped here with us. Before Zexthul could respond, the human ship moved. The Wanderer's dream accelerated directly toward the nearest Kethmori vessel, using the gas giant's gravity to boost its speed. At the last second, it fired everything it had at point-blank range. Mining lasers designed to cut through asteroid cores sliced through the alien ship's hull like it was made of paper. Railgun slugs punched massive holes through the vessel's superstructure. Debris-clearing charges normally used to push space junk out of shipping lanes exploded against the alien ship's weakened shields. The Kethmori vessel broke apart in a chain of explosions. Impossible, Zexthal screamed. All ships destroy them. But the human ship was already gone, vanishing behind the gas giant's largest moon. The Kethmori fleet spread out to search for it, breaking their formation for the first time. That was exactly what Elena had hoped for. The Wanderer's dream emerged from behind a different moon and targeted an isolated alien ship. This time they used a different tactic. Marcus had rigged their exhaust system to create a superheated plasma stream. The improvised weapon cut through the alien ship's engines, leaving it dead in space. 2 down, Elena said calmly. War Prime Zexthal was beginning to panic. In 50 years of hunting, he had never lost 2 ships to a single small vessel. All ships regroup. Maintain formation. But the human ship struck again before his fleet could reorganize. This time they used the gas giant's moons as cover, appearing and disappearing like a ghost. They targeted another ship's communication array, leaving it blind and deaf. Elena watched the alien fleet's coordination collapse. Without communication, the remaining ships were just individual vessels, each one vulnerable. Captain, Dr. Kim reported, I'm reading massive stress spikes in the alien transmissions. They're starting to panic. Good, Elena replied. Fear makes people make mistakes. She was right. The next Kethmori ship that came looking for them flew directly into a trap. Yuki had calculated the gravitational forces perfectly, using the gas giant's tidal effects to predict exactly where the alien vessel would emerge from hyperspace. The Wanderer's dream was waiting for them with a spread of railgun, fire that crippled their target before it could react. Marcus was enjoying himself now. Captain, I've got another idea. What if we use their own tactics against them? Explain. They hunt in packs, right? They rely on their packmates to drive prey into their weapons. But what if the prey wasn't running toward the guns but toward empty space? Elena understood immediately. You want to make them shoot each other. Exactly. The next attack was a masterpiece of misdirection. The Wanderer's dream appeared between 2 alien ships and immediately accelerated toward one of them. The targeted ship opened fire, but the human vessel jinked aside at the last second. The Kethmori weapons fire slammed into their own ally instead. War Prime Zexthal watched in horror as his ships destroyed each other. Cease fire! Cease fire! You're hitting our own vessels. But the damage was done. Half his fleet was gone and the survivors were scattered and confused. Elena opened a communication channel to the remaining ships. War Prime, are you starting to understand yet? You picked the wrong species to hunt. Zexthal's reply was filled with rage and fear. What are you? Your weapons are primitive. Your ship is tiny. How are you doing this? We're human, Elena replied simply. We come from a world where everything tries to kill us. We've learned to be creative, adaptable, and very, very stubborn. We don't give up, we don't surrender, and we don't let bullies win. Another Kethmori ship tried to flank the human vessel, but Elena was ready for it. The Wanderer's dream used a slingshot maneuver around the gas giant to build up incredible speed, then rammed the alien ship with their forward shields. The collision destroyed the alien vessel and left the human ship battered but intact. 6 down, Elena counted. War Prime Zexthal realized with growing terror that his hunting fleet was being systematically destroyed by a single small ship. These humans weren't just fighting back, they were winning. For the first time in his life, the mighty War Prime began to consider retreat. But he knew that if word of this defeat reached the other clans, his reputation would be destroyed. He had to win, no matter the cost. All remaining ships, he broadcast, ignore all other targets. Focus everything on the human vessel. Destroy them completely. The surviving Kethmori ships began to converge on the Wanderer's dream, all firing at once. But Elena had one more surprise for them. Marcus, initiate the feedback loop. Marcus grinned as he activated his final modification. The ship's power systems created an electromagnetic pulse that overloaded every sensor within range. The alien ships found themselves flying blind, their targeting systems useless. In the confusion, the Wanderer's dream picked off 2 more vessels before disappearing back into the gas giant's magnetosphere. War Prime Zexthal sat in his command chair, staring at the tactical display that showed only 4 ships left from his original fleet of 12. The humans had turned his perfect hunt into a disaster, and they still weren't finished with him. War Prime Zexthal stared at his tactical display in disbelief. Of his 12 mighty hunter-killers, only 4 remained functional. The rest were either destroyed or drifting helplessly in space, all because of one small human exploration ship. War Prime, his navigation officer called out, his voice shaking. The human ship is moving toward us again. Zexthul felt something he had never experienced in 50 years of hunting. Genuine fear. These humans fought like nothing he had ever encountered. They turned every disadvantage into a weapon, every weakness into a strength. All ships, he broadcast, prepare to retreat. We're leaving this system. War Prime? His weapons officer looked confused. We still outnumber them 4-1. Zexthul's mandibles clicked with bitter laughter. Numbers mean nothing to these creatures. They don't fight like any species in the galaxy. They fight like the universe itself is trying to kill them, and they refuse to die. But before his ships could begin their retreat, the human vessel appeared directly in front of his flagship. At this range, either ship could destroy the other with a single volley. It should have been an even standoff. Instead, Captain Elena Vasquez opened a communication channel. War Prime Zexthul. Her voice was calm and steady. I want to talk. Zexthul hesitated. Every instinct told him to fire first and worry about talking later. But something in the human's voice made him pause. There was no fear there, no desperation, just cold, hard certainty. You have destroyed most of my fleet, he said finally. What more do you want? Information, Elena replied. My communications officer has been listening to your transmissions. We know about your slaving operations. We know about the species you've captured and sold. We know about the arena worlds. Zexthul said nothing. Elena continued. We also know that you're not the only ones doing this. There are other fleets, other hunting groups. You're part of a larger organization. What does it matter? Zexthul asked. Even if you destroy us, others will come. The galaxy is vast and your species is new. You cannot fight all of us. Elena's laugh was soft and dangerous. War Prime, you still don't understand what you're dealing with. Let me tell you about humans. She paused, and when she spoke again, her voice carried the weight of absolute conviction. We come from a world that tried to kill us every single day. Ice ages that should have destroyed us only made us stronger. Predators that should have eaten us became our allies. Diseases that should have wiped us out became immunities. For millions of years, the universe told us we were too weak to survive, and we proved it wrong every time. Zexthul listened in growing unease. When we reached for the stars, everyone said it was impossible. When we split the atom, they said we'd destroy ourselves. When we built machines that could think, they said we'd become obsolete. But here we are, talking to you across the void between galaxies. Elena's voice grew harder. You see one small ship and think we're helpless. But that ship represents something you can't comprehend. It represents a species that has never, ever given up. Not once in our entire history. Pretty words, Zexthul said, trying to sound dismissive. But you are still just one ship. Am I? Elena asked. Lisa, show him. On the main screen of every surviving Kethmori vessel, new contacts began to appear. Ships were dropping out of hyperspace all around the gas giant. Human ships. Dozens of them. Zexthul's blood ran cold. Impossible. There were no human ships in this sector. You're right, Elena said. There weren't. But you see, when humans go out to explore dangerous territory, we don't go alone. We just make it look like we do. More ships continued to arrive. Warships this time, not exploration vessels. They took up positions around the remaining Kethmori fleet with military precision. The Wanderer's dream was never alone, Elena explained. We were the scout, the canary in the coal mine. Our job was to find trouble and report back. When we didn't check in on schedule, the cavalry came looking. Admiral Sarah Chen's voice came over the communication system. Elena smiled. Marcus's sister had made it after all. Captain Vasquez, this is Admiral Chen aboard the UES Defiance. Sorry we're late to the party. Traffic was murder getting through the hyperspace lanes. Elena grinned. Better late than never, Admiral. We've got some visitors here who were just leaving. War Prime Zexthul looked at his tactical display and felt his heart sink. 47 human warships surrounded his 4 remaining vessels. He was outnumbered more than 10-1, and he had already seen what humans could do when they were outnumbered. But Captain Elena wasn't finished with her lesson. War Prime, I'm going to let you and your surviving ships go, not because I'm merciful, but because I want you to carry a message. Zexthul said nothing. You're going to go back to your people, to your arena worlds, to your slaving operations, and you're going to tell them what you learned here today. You're going to tell them that humanity has arrived in the galaxy, and we don't like bullies." Elena's voice carried across space like a promise of retribution. "You're going to tell them that every species you've enslaved, every family you've destroyed, every life you've taken for entertainment, we know about it all, and we're coming for you." The human fleet parted, creating a corridor for the surviving Kethmori ships to escape. "You have 1 hour to leave this system," Elena continued. "If we ever see you or any of your kind in human space again, if we ever hear of you taking slaves from any species, we will find you. And next time, we won't be interested in talking." War Prime Zexthal's ships limped away into hyperspace. Carrying their message of defeat and warning, Admiral Chen opened a private channel to the Wanderer's dream. "Hell of a thing you did here, Captain. 7 people against 12 hunter-killers. Command is going to want a full report." Elena looked around at her crew. They were exhausted, battered but alive and free. "It was a team effort, Admiral. We just did what humans do, which is—" Elena smiled. "We refused to lose." As the human fleet began to disperse, Elena made her final log entry for the mission. Captain's log. Stardate 2387.156. First contact with hostile alien species has been resolved. The Kethmori hunting fleet has been neutralized, and survivors have been sent to carry word of human capabilities to their leadership. She paused, looking out at the stars that seemed somehow brighter than before. Note for Earth Command. Recommend increased defensive capabilities for future exploration missions. Also recommend immediate diplomatic contact with species that have been victimized by Kethmori slaving operations. It seems we have some new friends to make and some old scores to settle. Elena closed the log and settled back in her command chair. "All right, people. Let's go home." The Wanderer's dream turned toward Earth, leaving behind the wreckage of a slave fleet and the growing legend of humanity's first real introduction to galactic civilization. Across the galaxy, the message spread quickly through criminal networks and government channels alike. A new species had appeared, one that looked small and harmless but fought like caged tigers when threatened. Species that had suffered under the Kethmori for generations began to whisper about these humans who had destroyed an entire hunting fleet with a single small ship. On the arena worlds, slaves who had given up hope began to hope again. In the dark corners of space where predators hunted the weak, the hunters began to look over their shoulders. Humanity had announced its presence in the galaxy, and the galaxy would never be the same. War Prime Zexthal sat in his damaged flagship, staring at the stars and trying to understand what had happened to him. He had encountered something new in the cosmos, something that didn't fit into any category he understood. He had met humans, and he knew with absolute certainty that the age of easy hunting was over.